All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast, episode 67 here. Day after Christmas, presents haven't been opened, the money has been spent. There's no, I guess we could return it still now. Return it all the money back. I want it all back.
It was all for show.
Yeah, exactly. So we're here day after Christmas. Here to talk a little sports, a little NBA, a little NFL. We'll get into. There were some games, obviously, yesterday on Christmas Day that we'll get into. Some things during the week, sports-wise. We'll also touch on some big events in our lives this week, and maybe a question or two about what we learned this year podcasting with the new year upon us. But with that said, Tyler, how was Christmas yesterday with the family? I was able to stop by for a few minutes. Say hi to the crew over there. Good seeing your brother and your dad and your mom, of course. It was funny. My daughter had acted like she had seen your mom every day of her life. It was hilarious.
Yeah, she really took a liking to Connie. Normally she runs away from people, and she just ran right into her arms.
That was funny. So how was the rest of Christmas? How did it finish up for you?
It was good. Had a good dinner, some ham, some green bean casserole, some sweet potatoes with marshmallows. That was a good Christmas.
It
was low key. What was that?
We had a little different menu than us. We go prime rib. We did have the mashed potato.
That's a spectacular menu you had there.
But chicken. That was they had some chicken and some broccoli. So we did all that good stuff. So yeah, it was good. Did you have time to watch any of the games or anything stuff like that during Christmas?
Yeah, I got to watch the Warriors, obviously, and then I watched the Hawks-Knicks game, which was pathetic. And then I got a little bit of the Lakers.
It's so hard to be able to watch the games, huh?
Yeah, it's so busy and hectic. With
I feel like that's always the advantage on the East Coast, if you actually wanted to watch the game.
Yeah, because we're opening presents while the games are going on. They're probably done by the game start.
That's the one time they had the advantage. All right, was there somebody made a chestnut? I've never had a chestnut before, and they wrapped bacon around it. It was unbelievable. Whoever did that at my house, that was delicious. I was like, "What is this? I've never had it before." They're like, "Bacon and chestnut." I was like, "Well, it's got bacon on it. It sure tastes good."
I've never had a chestnut before in my life. I didn't even know you could eat chestnuts.
I didn't either. I figured something out. I got to point out my wife here with the cup, right? Here we go on the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. It's kind of a terrible job of showing it right there. And then, there you go. Thank you, Tyler. You're better at that stuff than me. So thank you, Hada, for the gift there. See, she says she doesn't support it, but I think she does, Tyler. If that's not
true, thank you, Coach Hans.
That is true. Love people. Actually, we'll be celebrating our 11th year for people that probably don't care, but we'll be celebrating that out there. Shortly. I also thought it was good this week. We were able to catch up with some guys that we don't see very often. Some original of the Humble Pie was our basketball team in the rec league. It was good seeing Adam, who has been a guest on the show. Brian, who's been a guest on the show. Matt, not been a guest, but he says he listens to the show, so we appreciate that. Lunsel over there. We hit up the big local Applebee's there, Tyler. Always feeling good in the neighborhood over there. So we did that for the Niners Titans game a little bit over there. Good. I like Adam. He said the locks behind me here. It reminds him of Seinfeld with Jerry. He's like, why are you so many damn locks on your door? I feel safe.
Got to keep Kramer out.
Got to feel safe there, Adam. So it was good over there at Applebee's there. Watch up the Niners game, and we'll definitely be getting into that game a little bit more. I heard there was a guy that was not very happy at the bar there, apparently. So that was good. I wanted to talk to Casey about the high energy he brought, apparently, but he's not on the podcast here yet this morning. So if he jumps back on, we'll have to ask him about that. So those were a few things from the week. Was there a gift that stood out to you this week, Tyler? Did your kid get something? You get something? Girlfriend?
For my kid, he got an iPad this year. For me, I just got this Fatboy FadeAway memorabilia. Got a hat. Got the mug. I got a Debo jersey, and that's about it for me. That was low key, nothing crazy.
I did get an A's hat here that will bust out maybe this year, maybe opening day probably at least, or they're still 500.
The first preview episode.
There you go. You got that. All right. So the other big news from the week for you was Arizona played basketball, college basketball team. We know this is one of your favorite teams, and I felt like you sent an innocent tweet. I didn't think much about it. You sent it a few days, and it was just. We obviously know some people in Memphis now, and there was a game between Memphis and Tennessee that was supposed to happen last weekend. A lot of people, I think, from Memphis drove up to Nashville, I believe, where the game was going to be played.
Knoxville. Or was it a mutual court? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it was mutual. I don't know.
And as a result, you just felt like you had to say a tweet. You said, "Hey, Memphis fans, Arizona about to smoke Tennessee for you all tomorrow." Nothing. I didn't think anything of it. It didn't catch any waves. You sent it December 21st. A few days later, what happens? Arizona loses 77-73, and Tyler just starts getting. I mean, would you say friendly conversations about the tweet there, Tyler? How do you want to describe
it? It was hit or miss. There were some people who were friendly. There were some people who weren't hugged enough as a child.
Describe what happened afterwards, though. Like initially, what was the Twitter reaction? Because you've never had this much reaction to a tweet, so I'm just curious what was going through your head.
I was just like, "What the?" I didn't know this many people cared about Tennessee basketball. I just was shocked. People were liking the tweet and then said, quote tweeting it and with some funny gifs. It was all fun, and then some name calls. Luckily, there were no DMs. It was all fun. It was. I can take a joke. It is what it is.
There we go. We got some right there.
Yeah.
So I got some that I want to point out just because I thought they were funny here. So we got great call there, Ty. That was good. Just always a basic there. A lot of gifts there. Firmly grasped that L. That was a good one. Right there, Tyler. Yeah. So you got Memphis fans. Guess what? We're smoking a Knoxville Wildcat. A little vicious there. You had some that called you, who is this jerk-off guy anyways? I thought you got some pretty tough ones there, Tyler.
It's funny, the McJerkoff one, because that's been just a friendly high school nickname when people were joking with me throughout my life. So I was like, how the hell is this guy from Tennessee?
How did that work out for you, Felicia? I guess you get that one. Whoopsie. I mean, they were just hounding you that day. Just hounding you with it. I just thought it was kind of interesting because I've certainly never got that. When you almost have 94 retweets or quote tweets and people respond to you. So it looked like most of it, though, was in fun nature. It looked like most of it. I'm sure you got a few where you're like, okay, I'm not responding back to that guy.
It was fine. I made a prediction. I was wrong.
I didn't get to catch the beginning of when we did the spaces. Did the guys from Memphis say anything about it?
They said, yeah, we're Tennessee fans and we don't even mess with Tennessee Twitter. So I guess they have a reputation of doing these type of things.
Stay away from that. Speaking of Tennessee Twitter, I think we'd be remiss, if I can speak English here, remiss if we didn't thank Savage, the host of I Don't Know Sports, and P Shark, the host of Let's Tighten Up, for letting us jump on. Both of us on Savages, you couldn't make Let's Tighten Up, but for letting me jump on there and do the podcast with them. And that was fun. It was different than kind of doing our own thing. That was the first time we got to do it. So, I just wanted to shout out them. Please follow them. They got a good podcast. Usually Savage puts his out on Mondays, and then he does Let's Be Real. And then the Tighten Up podcast I was on usually comes out, I think, middle of the week before the Titans game. So check their podcasts out. Me and Tyler really enjoy hanging out with them with their Spaces thing there, and kind of doing our Twitter thing there. So, so anyways, Tyler, that was kind of the big news with your Twitter battle there. I also kind of wanted to just kind of think about now that we're going into the new year here, right? We're going into the new year with things. What was some of the challenges you felt like with podcasting? Because we talk about this all the time. Sometimes there's an up and down feeling with it. And P Shark asked me the question, how did we got asked about him for the first time in a while. I was like, how did this happen? What are we doing here with it? Because it is kind of it's kind of a waste of time. It feels like at times. And I think me and him discussed people watching it. But I've never really talked to you about it. And so I'm curious to get your thoughts, kind of more so on some of the challenges to podcasting, what you've maybe learned from doing it over probably this last year.
Yeah. Listening to you guys and you and P Shark talk about it is, you just can't pay attention to the numbers. You get caught up in it and it ruins it for you when your numbers are down. And it just has these peaks and valleys. And that's the biggest struggle, like, because talking sports is something like I've loved doing since I was 10 years old. And talking with you, especially, I don't have to dumb myself down or like pretend like, oh, you know what you're talking, because I know you know what you're talking about. So it's really enjoyable in that sense. And yeah, I love it. It just some weeks are a little tougher than others. You have to do something in the morning where you have to get up especially early, or you have to do something the night before. And you don't get much sleep. But you always, after every podcast, I always feel better about myself when I did it. It's always like, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah, it's well, like I said, like I think you've gotten like better at doing it too. Like you seem more comfortable with that as you gone forth, and that's kind of a challenge too at the beginning of when we've done this, and we've talked about that as well. All right, I got some questions for you, like history questions here at the podcast, quickly to see if you know your knowledge here. What cartoon character has been the most on the thumbnails?
Bugs Bunny?
Snoopy. No, wrong. Who was our first guest?
That's a comic book character.
Besides
first
Brian.
guest was
Brian.
Amanda.
Yes, good. You got that one right. Which guest other than Brian has come on twice?
Mateo.
Very good. All right, people, he's on fire. And how many episodes have you missed? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. That's that.
I don't know. Too many.
So we got those. Those were a few little nuggets from there. All right, this week also ahead before we get into NBA and NFL here, college football. Who you got? We got Georgia versus Michigan, Alabama versus Cincinnati. Any chance Cincinnati pulls off the upset? The game's going to be Friday. We'll talk about it a little bit more next week, but just kind of your quick takes on who you got.
I don't think they have. I think it's 0% chance Alabama loses. And then Georgia, Michigan, I think Georgia's going to win by like 10, but I will pick Michigan because that's who I want to win.
That might be the dumbest thing you've ever said. A 0% chance they might win. I mean, come on, a 0%. It's not even 0.1.
They're going to lose by 30. What do you mean? They're not going to win. Do you have any faith in Cincinnati?
No, but I got a 0.1 chance that they're going to win.
Like, I guess if they all get COVID before the game, they forfeit. They got that chance.
All right, fine. So that's a 0.1 right there. 0%. Yeah. All right. So we got that. NBA, keep hearing. We'll talk about a little more NBA here, but they're getting a little news with this in-season tournament. I guess they're saying a little bit more people want to do that. So we'll see how that worked out. That would be very interesting to the NBA season. And then Tyler, how many bowl games have you watched so far this year?
Zero.
Very good. That's college football. People were talking about that. Memphis football team got a free trip to Hawaii. Well, not a free trip. I guess they were supposed to play a football game and it got canceled there. So I guess tough break, but then you're in Hawaii at least. It's, it could be stuck in worse places for a few days. So all right, let's take a break there. We'll be back with I think we're gonna go NFL first this week. Kind of recap the games yesterday. Get Tyler's takes on the Niners and what happened Thursday night. But what you got some?
Yeah, being the last podcast of the year.
Yeah.
I just like to thank those people out in Memphis who supported us and have been a big part of what we do now. And thank you guys.
Like retweeting stuff.
And thank you, Casey, I wish you were here.
Casey does not show up the day after Christmas. I guess he gets just too much party. The gifts got to him. Too many gifts. He was sleeping on all the gifts he got there. No, I think that's very appropriate what you said there, because that's what's kind of making it more fun too. So, you know what I mean? That more.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Getting different perspectives from different parts of the country.
Exactly. And yesterday at our party, I was talking about somebody. He went to Memphis, and he was telling my cousin. He was talking to me about it, and Jay, and he was like, "Yeah, you got to go there. It's like awesome. FedEx, the stadium's like right next to Beale Street." He's like telling me all about it. I was like, "Yeah, now I actually kind of want to go, for multiple reasons now." So when I never would have thought about that a few years ago, for sure. All right. Why don't we take a break there then, and we'll be back with NFL. Like I said, get Tyler's take on the Niners, what happened in the game, and maybe look ahead to some of the games today. All right, we're back here on the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast, December 26, 2021, episode 67. Got Tyler McGurk up with me up there. Tyler, let's get into something maybe that was tough. The Niners, they lose Thursday to the Titans. We already knew it was going to be a tough game. get off to a great start, 10-0, they're ahead. Jimmy G throws that interception in the end zone. Kind of starts to go downhill from there. AJ Brown, a big factor in the game, 16 targets, 10 receptions, right? I believe something like that, 11 maybe. Your thoughts on the game, where the Niners stand at this point?
They play the Texans this week, so I think they'll win today.
Okay.
And I still think they're going to make the playoff. If they win one more game, I think they're in basically, most likely. So I think they'll make the playoffs. It was just a tough loss. We went back to throwing the ball too much. We didn't run the ball. We were getting 4 yards a carry, which isn't great, but it's good enough. But when Jimmy G throws the ball 35 times, it's not a recipe for success. And he made 2 bad throws. He made 3 bad throws, but one of them was dropped, luckily. And the Titans did a great job of what I said about Jimmy is you can't let him throw the ball over the middle. Just force him to throw to the outside the numbers, and he can't do it. He still got some to Debo and whatnot, but they took away Kittle. He had 2 catches for 21 yards, I believe.
Yeah, he wasn't a factor.
But they're not going to win too many games when Kittle's not a non-factor as a playmaker.
What do you think, though, more for the Niners? Like, I guess the question, would be, there's 2 things that come out of the game. I think you as a fan would have to be, we've talked, I don't know if you see him as a Super Bowl contender anymore, but these are the 2 concerns for me. The quarterback play, right? It's got to be rough. AJ Brown he looks unstoppable in the second half there at moment. And then you got the thing for me is that do you think this will help Niners fans, the ones that were on the fringe with Garoppolo, losses like this, kind of like, okay, now I'm okay with Lance more and more next year? Just because he's kind of, when Garoppolo loses a game like this, it kind of feels like it was on his shoulders a little bit.
Yeah, I think it does. But I don't think that's ever been the issue. I think it's always been more people wanting to get rid of Garoppolo before, more people. They just are
There's still people out there that are on the Garoppolo train.
But that's more of the people just because he's playing. They're like, stop wishing bad on this guy while he's our starting quarterback is how I think of it. Or how I think they're coming at it, or at least that's how I come at it. Is I don't think
they actually like him as the quarterback. I think
they might like him more than Trey Lance, just because if Trey Lance was better, he'd play. That doesn't make sense why he doesn't play.
It's a weird situation.
He wasn't better.
He just kind of, because with every loss, you're like, man, this has to influence it somehow, right? But maybe not. But
yeah, it's almost at the point where you're just sacrifice maybe a little bit of how much better you'd be just to get the guy some reps and let him play if you're giving up 3 first-round picks.
Tyler, the Niners front 7 is really good. I think it's really good. It didn't play
that great last week.
It didn't play that well against the day. It wasn't getting the pass rush that it usually gets. They did a good job on them. But their corners, what do you think about? That's kind of where I would be really concerned if I were you going forward.
Oh, for sure. Josh Norman just gets eaten alive.
And then number 2, Thomas.
He can't guard anyone. Thomas actually played all right last week, except for one should have been a PI that he got away with, but he only gave up 2 catches. But who was the Titans' second receiver?
Come playoff time, that's where I'd be worried against.
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna find matchups where he might struggle, but he is better than I expected. You couldn't even get on the field until all these injuries. So
let's go to the other side real quick. What do you think for the Titans real quick? They get kind of a big win. That keeps them in the chance to get the number 1 seed. They get AJ Brown back. Julio Jones just continues to not seem like a big factor for them to this point anyways. They haven't been able to use him well or whatever. I know he's been hurt too. Their running game wasn't unreal against you guys. You guys did a pretty good job in stopping that, of course. But what do you think about the Titans?
I think they have the Tannehill issue. I think he's the same as Garoppolo. You can't throw the ball 35 times. So to me, it all depends on Henry's health. If he can come back and be a factor, or even just be a good enough player to be where you have to respect him.
So even with
almost the same way,
or something like that, you don't think Tannehill, that's what I'm saying. Don't think he's.
Did Tannehill play that great against? He couldn't complete a pass to another guy.
16 times.
That is that good. He just force it to one guy. A better secondary might be able to do something about that.
It's like Debo getting that. He got the same kind of treatment basically from Jimmy G. All right, so you basically in short here, you think Niners will make the playoffs, but you also lose a lot of confidence in them based on Jimmy G's performance and beating quality teams with his just with his arm, being able, he had a good percentage, but like you said, couldn't make the big throws. And like I said, you can't turn the ball over in the end zone when you're going in to score.
On first down.
What?
On first down.
Yeah, can't do that. That was horrible. Let's think about other teams that might be sinking here. Yesterday, the Cardinals lost to the Colts. The Cardinals did this last year too, right? Where they went on I think they had a worse record, but they went on just a massive decline at the end. Kingsbury, he's starting to lose his team again at the end here of the season. They didn't look very good last night in the parts I watched. I know Hopkins is out, and that's always a big injury when you lose, like one of your deep threats as a receiver, as a quarterback. But what do you think about them declining? The Rams are looking better and better, especially if they can beat the kind of, the hanging on Vikings today. They're looking great. Yeah. And then it makes the Niners loss feel even worse to me, just because I kind of thought they could win the division, and I was banking on them winning, obviously, against the Titans. Yeah. So, what do you kind of think of the Cardinals there? Maybe even a little touch on the Browns game and Baker's 4 interceptions.
I mean, quick take on Baker. Baker's God, I mean, unless he's just so injured, he can't. But his fundamentals look terrible. He's always throwing fading away. He's just not it. As far as the Cardinals, is there any? I think they could take Reggie Jackson's nickname as Mr. October's. They just can't play after October or into December.
They're not good at all right now. They're really struggling. They lost three game losing streak. They lost to the Rams, at Lions, the Colts, and now they still have the Cowboys and Seahawks. So they're 10-5. They haven't clinched a playoff spot yet, I believe. I don't think they have. Let's double check. Yeah, no, they haven't. So they should. The Niners, they still have that tiebreaker over the Niners, but yeah, we'll see what happens there. Those were kind of the two games. Yeah. Let's get back to the.
Hold on. No, I want to talk about Cliff Kingsbury real quick. Did people start really buying into the guy?
I think so.
That's crazy.
Because he does good stuff at the beginning of the year, but I think teams catch on, don't you think? Maybe.
Yeah, and his clock management isn't good. His game management isn't good. He kicked a field goal on third down with, I don't know.
Nobody wears a long sleeve shirt better though. You gotta get.
I'm not a fan. I wouldn't want to be my
GQ man of the year every time I see him. I'm like, doesn't it seem like he's kind of he's
nice sunglasses?
I mean, everybody's checking the mirror a few times before the league, but he's definitely checking it from. He's going back at halftime and he's making sure everything looks perfectly. Doesn't it seem like that with him? He's got some other. I don't know. He's a little different.
Yeah.
Anyways, I
don't think Andy Reid and Bill Belichick are checking the mirror.
Murray too. It will have to be start to be the question for me too. Something to look forward with him is as being a smaller quarterback, being kind of somebody that continues to kind of have to run outside the pocket as he's getting later into the season. And in football, you lose guys. That's just naturally what happens in the sport. Can he keep it up in those winter months? When he has to go on the road, unless he gets home field advantage in Arizona. But even now, he's starting to struggle with some of those games. So. That's something for me I'm kind of looking at too. I don't question his heart or anything like that. It's just natural. You're getting hit so many times, right? I mean,
yeah, you start you're 100% up here. And then at this time, you're 100% just lower than it was before, just based on natural hits and taking a beating all year. So you're never the same as you were in the beginning of the year.
I think about just me playing 3-on-3 the other day and how sore I am.
Imagine getting in 40 car crashes. And
I get the ice back out now. Dying. Yeah, so I did. That was rough. That was a tough one right there. But gotta start somewhere, Tyler. Gotta start somewhere. All right. So we talked about the Browns, talked about the Cardinals enough here. Let's go to today a little bit more. We got kind of games of the day. Let's kind of get into the schedule a little bit here. Pats Bills, that's the game of the day. We talked about it a little bit with Adam, who's a big Patriots fan. Zach, that does our Spaces thing. He's a Patriots fan there. It's very interesting getting their takes on it. Pretty much, Adam was like, does he have any different takes? I was like, pretty much I've heard the same stuff. He likes Mac Jones for the same reasons you do and all that kind of good stuff. I know you said I think you said you like the Pats. That's what I think you said. Yeah. Are you staying with them or you got the Bills?
It's in New England, right?
It's in New England, yes. The 10 o'clock game for us, yeah.
Yeah, I like the Pats.
The Bills definitely get more.
Their defense is so good, and the Bills does not look good.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know what happened to their offense. They can't run the ball unless it's Josh Allen. Like Devin Singletary. Do you trust Devin Singletary to get more than 8 carries a game?
No. And that kind of leads you maybe to one of my questions this week, and maybe you have a different game with it too, is who's your show me something player of the week or team this week? And I got Josh Allen as show me something this week. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's get a big performance in a big game on the road against Bill. Again, you know what I mean? A team that owns you, your franchise is on. It's at that kind of at that teetering point. It feels like to me to like, can he take them to that level to where it's like you think about the Bills every year, or are they going to hover around that Chargers Phillip Rivers era? That's kind of where I kind of feel like, you know what I mean? Like that, I don't know. He's kind of that Rivers kind of guy for me. I feel right now he's right in the balance of it.
It's a good call. Mine's actually shocking is Bucks with no Godwin, no Fournette. They got shut out last week. Let's see. Is this team, can they win without, because Godwin's not coming back. Fournette probably will be back, I believe. I don't know for sure. I haven't really read up on that one.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Evans is banged up.
He's on IR.
So I just, if they lose to the Panthers on the road, like people are going to start questioning. It's going to be a huge news story all over. Like, can Brady win his 8th? Eighth, right?
Yeah, maybe.
So I think that's.
It's funny you said that because I had Tom as show me something this week.
Yeah, that's who I had, Tom.
You can take care of your equipment, Tom. Carpenter does not play with his tools, and you're throwing laptops. He's cussing at coaches, saying "FUB crutch." I mean, my goodness, he's going at it over there. I don't know what Tyler got into Tom last week. He did not have a good week. You obviously can tell he does not like losing. And the Saints did just a fabulous job rubbing it in. I mean, no team rubbed it in better. I saw all year, like the quarterback on the guy,
like Gardner guy.
So and then and then they make it worse on Tom. The guy gets the pick to end the game, I believe. Just salt on the wound. But the Bucs do have a nice setup. They would be playing the Cardinals right now in the playoffs in the first round. So maybe they want to force it. My other show me for today, this is going to be just kind of an obvious one, is I got to see something from Derek Carr. I got to see a good performance today against the Broncos. Me and Casey, we talked about it. Let's see something today, Derek. I've been ripping on you. Let's see something quality today. 3-time Pro Bowler now, as Tyler pointed out on Twitter. Let's see that Pro Bowl performance. Let's keep him on the Raiders, right, Tyler? I know you want him on the Niners really bad, probably. So let's see.
I like him being on the Raiders. I like hearing you talk about him.
USOB, you said that tweet about about
even if he has a great game, are you going to be like, now he's still going to have to show you again next week?
He will. He's going to have to continue. Let's go right now, Derek. Let's go right now. Doing these little interviews, people talk about the Raiders enough. I ripped on them, and I listened back to a couple of, and it was a little hard. Let's go. We need to.
You want a Nick Foles type performance.
I also got the Steelers, Chiefs, kind of a big game. Tyler, I got Denver, late Raiders. I kind of said just because of the standings, not really. I don't think either team's a real threat.
Bengals, Ravens.
Yeah, Bengals. I mean, who are the Ravens? They called Joe Johnson. It wasn't
Josh Johnson. Might as well be Joe.
He's playing for the Celtics, and now he's the quarterback.
Now he's like quarterback.
Unbelievable.
He does it all.
Unbelievable. Wouldn't that be funny if that happened for baseball, COVID, call Kyler Murray in the summer days? All right, we need you for find it. All right, so you got that. And then kind of it feels like when I look at it right away, I go, ooh, that's not a good game. But Monday night, it's not horrible, just based on the standings as well as Miami and New Orleans. But I'll tell you this, it might not be a game I watch all of. I'll say that. I don't know if Tua and Taysom Hill get a full watch of football on Monday night. That's a tough one to swallow there. Any other game? I guess the Ravens, Bengals.
Yeah, Ravens, Chargers. They're not playing a good team, but I'm always interested in the Chargers. No, Chargers play someone terrible.
Texans, I think. Yeah, right. I think it's
the Niners play. Oh yeah, Texans.
You're getting confused. They play the Texans next.
Yeah, because the Niners already played, so it feels like they're playing. Their next game is the Texans.
Do you think the Steelers upset the Chiefs? Though the Chiefs don't have Kelsey P Shark made a good point about how he always thought it'd be interesting to see the Chiefs without. He does have Hill back without some of his weapons. So what do you think about that?
And I think the Steelers' offense is atrocious. So I think the Chiefs will be able to put 25 up and win.
They just find a way. I mean, somehow they're winning this division, Tyler. It's like I'm rooting with them. Somehow I've become a Steelers fan this year too. It's sickening for me, but because of my pick earlier in the year, I'm sticking with it. We need them to.
Like Skip Bayless just not giving up on the pick.
Well, let's not compare me to that guy, but
okay. I think you compared yourself the other day to it.
Well, maybe in some aspects, but I'm not. I feel like I don't love.
No, I'm not.
LeBron James.
You're not taking selfies in the mirror, like trying to intimidate the fans.
I should do that sometimes.
Cowboys, but
like wear my sandals and be like, I'm unbeatable with these sandals this week. I ran a mile and a half 4 minutes ago in this. Debate me, Tyler. Yep, yours. Yeah. So you got any other show me guys you want to see?
I mean, Ben Roethlisberger is going to have to show me something.
He ain't showing you anything. You just said that.
I don't think he is, but he's got to for me to think they're going to win.
How about Hurts? Can he show you again? Can he prove it against the Giants? Like a game they should win, right? Against the Giants. Savage is starting to feel better about his Eagles. Could they pull that?
Hurts just showed me enough. He should be their starting quarterback. I'd give him another year. If he was a rookie this year, people wouldn't be like, they'd be like, this guy has some potential. This guy's good. Like he's doing better than any other quarterback that's a rookie. Maybe not Mac, but
give me another player that you want to see something from. You said any player that you kind of like, maybe besides.
I mean, you already brought up Josh Allen, but I'd like to see Stephon Diggs do something against his Patriots secondary. He's kind of had a little worse year than he had a spectacular year last year, and it's kind of fallen off a little bit this year. And to do something like AJ Brown did on Thursday or something, just carry his team to a victory against a great defense.
That's what I want to see in the morning. Can I get some actually good games here where it's not 31-3? Let's do better this week in some of the games. The primetime games are doing great, but some of those Sunday games, been some pretty pathetic ones out there. But there's no.
You know who really needs to show me something?
What?
These goddamn referees. They're freaking awful.
Even my dad was ripping on him yesterday. He was
freaking god awful. I missed the replacement refs.
They basically are. Why are they not full time? All right, we'll lose viewers with that conversation. All right, we'll take a little break there, Tyler. Unless you got anything else NFL wise.
Real quick.
Yeah.
If I still have it somewhere. Did you see the Bill Simmons mentioned Deebo Samuel in a tweet? Did you see it?
Yes.
You saw it?
Yeah, your retweet of it.
Yeah. Can you think of a guy who is like who would be the closest guy to you?
Well, what was the tweet? So
it says he's a one of one. Okay, he says, has there ever been a receiver like Deebo? Can't think of a historical doppelganger of him. For him, he's a one of one.
I mean, I think
the first comment back is, has there ever been a second rounder who caught one pass a week before? I can think of a few, yeah. So he has some weeks where it's not like as spectacular as he was Thursday.
Yeah, Bill Simmons has a way of overreacting to certain players as well. Like, I'm not saying he's a stud for sure, but has there been other players like him? Let's see off the top of my head. I mean, Anquan Bolden was kind of like him. I always like Bolden as like a beast, a better version of him in some ways.
But did they run the ball like him? That's what makes him different, I think.
Times he would run the ball at times. There was occasion he ran the ball a decent amount for a receiver, but not like deep. This is kind of a rare thing. You're seeing what they're doing this year,
and that's why I think he says he's a one of one.
Yeah, I mean, he could be Bolden's the first guy that just jumps to my head, but there's probably a lot of other guys out there too. If you got one, let us know. Hines Ward maybe falls in that mix a little bit. He's not. I
think Deebo's faster though.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking of. Anquan Randall L.
Anquan's good. That's a good one.
So maybe something like that.
And then AJ Brown is
he's
both physical
now too. Yeah. So all right, why don't we take a break there at the NFL? We'll be back to finish up our NBA part of the show, and then we'll call it a week here, episode 67. So stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, we're back here on the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. Heidelberger joining me. Final segment here, NBA part of the segment or of the podcast, I should say. Obviously, Warriors is the team we talked the most to. Let's talk about them real quick here, and then we'll get into some of the other topics from the week, Christmas Day games, KD, some other questions I have from you. Joe Johnson, a little related to, we'll play a little game with that, and then we'll get out of here. Warriors 3-0 this week, beat the Kings easily. Kings, I don't know what the heck happened. No show that week, that game. Steph, he saves the Bay Area from a sweep on Thursday against Tennessee. Niners lose. Obviously, we talked about they beat the Grizzlies, though. He has 46. Really passionate about that game. He really wanted that one. Did not want to lose 3 in a row to the Grizzlies. Did not want John Morant and the Grizzlies to have that edge over him. You could tell if you watched that game. And then yesterday they play the Suns. I got to say, I missed a little bit of the first quarter, but after that, I caught most of it. And they just got some contributions from everywhere, everybody, a little bit here. Obviously, a couple guys more so than others. And Steph, obviously, the key piece. They have a 3-0 week. Now top first in the Western Conference again. We'll get into the standings here as well. But Tyler, did the win matter yesterday against the Suns? You know, in the rest, did the game, does it matter overall? Is it
I think whenever you beat the team that you jump to go to the 1 seed, yeah, it matters. It's on the road, especially. And they were playing with everybody, I believe. I don't think they were missing anybody. And the Warriors just got huge. I've said it before. It's these guys they brought in this year, like the Otto Porters, the Bielitsas.
Automatic is tweeted yesterday. I like it.
It's a good nickname, right? And then the drafting of Kuminga, he looked special yesterday. The way he played defense, I was like, holy smokes, this guy's 6'9" and can move like he's a point guard. He was guarding Chris Paul better than anybody I've seen the Warriors put on him. Like maybe prime Iguodala, but just to see a rookie do that, and he has like an IQ that is above what I expected. I thought he was going to be kind of like very raw, and he actually has some nuance to his game where he knows what's going on. He has a feel for the game where I was very impressed with the way he played.
Remember your dad said earlier in the year, the G League game, you got to give him a hard time about that one. The G League.
Yeah, he did.
Right there. You're right about Kuminga. He's different than anybody they've had too. Like he's different than Iguodala. He definitely looks to score more naturally than even Iguodala did in his prime. You can just tell, like almost too much sometimes he's looking to shoot. And so I think the Warriors have had to work on him to play with. If you're going to play with the starters, like we want you to be aggressive because you bring up something different, but know your role.
Go crazy.
Yeah, know your role as well. So I think that's where the G League has really helped the NBA in general. But they've kind of turned it more into a farm system. It was a joke kind of at the beginning because they didn't really know what it was. And it was kind of looked at as like these are lower class players, but as soon as teams figured out to turn it into a minor league system, and I mean, how does it not better? You can like get these guys into your system. Like this guy Witherspoon kind of fit in yesterday perfectly. He like actually was a factor in the game. But wasn't that kind of weird watching him? He looked like he had played on the team all year.
I didn't even know who he was until they're like Witherspoon's enter the game. I was like, who the hell is Witherspoon? Well, you're playing pretty good. Keep it up.
Yeah, some guys come in and they're like, you can tell they're just trying to figure it out. He was like, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to go. I might only be here one day. I'm just going to like play. So I thought that was pretty cool as well. So the Suns, though, I thought it was a big win but to me, I'll say this. They play them one more time in Golden State. It's a big win, the one they have, because now they have the 2-1 advantage and they beat them at home. Kind of that little just psychological game. But so if the Warriors can win at home again, be up 3-1, it's definitely, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. No, the playoff series is what's going to matter.
Exactly.
But to give them a little psychological edge, I'm sure it would help. You'd rather be 3-1 than not. So, right. You don't want to be like, this team's going to, when breaks start to go your way or not your way, that's when that stuff kind of maybe sinks in a little bit.
And more than the psychological edge, you just want that game 7 if you have to have one at home, like if you have the choice. So,
yeah, that's for sure. Any thoughts on some of the other games from Christmas Day you watched?
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up Gary Payton. He's just another great game and whatnot. But yeah, the other games.
Well, hold on. Let's stick real quick there with the Warriors with Gary Payton. He's just been unreal as well. Like, I don't want you to shortchange that. Like he was.
Yeah, that's what.
Whether Bob always mentions on the broadcast, the Warriors are so underhit. Where's their scoring going to come from? He always poor Warriors, like his approach to the game, like they're missing 51 points. Like, it's like, Like I always like even with the bad players, Eric Dampier and Foyle, they're missing 17 rebounds combined with their.
Well, the worst was when he'd be like, "Oh, these two centers together average 25 points and 15 rebounds. That's an all-star center."
But
shut up, Bob. It's not an all-star center.
Even that's the case. Gary Payton, he's been unreal. Like I've kind of compared him to Barbosa, not the same player, but just the impact he's having on this team compared to the same impact he had there. He was really good the other night.
I'm just surprised by his shooting. He's shooting like 43% from three, I believe.
Yeah, no,
I think he has had a surprisingly bigger impact almost than Barbosa.
Probably right. No, I think that's a good call.
Like, just shockingly, but like I think he's
more of a Livingston type impact. He started.
Yeah. I'd agree.
Yeah. He's been actually better than most than I thought. He's actually maybe becoming more of a Livingston on this team. Just different player, of course. All right, let's get into what we said. Some of the other games. Did you check out some of the other ones?
The Knicks Hawks game was not worth watching.
No, absolutely not.
And then the Giannis is just spectacular. Yeah, he's just spectacular. We took over the game. Like they just every time down, they would get an easy layup or an open three the last like quarter and a half, and it all had to do with Giannis. And
was Freedom in?
Freedom. I didn't see much of Freedom.
They said that. Like, who the hell is Freedom? What was that? Edith Cantor there.
Giannis had a huge block down the stretch. I don't know if you saw that.
I did. Did you see the LeBron Lakers game at all?
I watched a little bit of it, but not really. I fell asleep.
Yeah, you're more watching that game for just the Lakers like blowing it. They still lose to Patty and the Harden Nets. Patty Mills. I think he had more points than Harden. Yeah, check that one out. And of course, the prime time game for the West Coast. I watched the Mavs. That was actually a good game. Like I was saying, I just want a good game. 120, 116. Got to finish up the night watching that game. So those were the games there. LeBron says he still believes in Westbrook. Big story this week. And then I wanted to kind of get you said KD, somebody on our Spaces thing said, well, if you're as a Warriors fan, if you did play in the Eastern or in the finals, would you rather see the Nets or the Bucks? You said you'd rather see the Nets. I said I'd rather see the Nets. You said you'd rather see the Bucks. Excuse me. Obviously, because they have KD, you don't want to see them. I just kind of argue if Kyrie's not there, Harden doesn't look the same, and the Warriors kind of seem to be able to guard KD a little bit. I don't know that he's just different. And like Giannis, I feel like if he's engaged, like you said, and like under the hoop and the Bucks feed him like they're supposed to, I'm a little bit more worried of the Warriors having nothing for that. That's more my answer. Like they have no answer for that.
I think you can game plan easier for Giannis than you can for KD. I don't think KD takes the regular season as serious as like Giannis. Like I think he does. He wants to win this MVP. You can tell.
The Bucks have a better team overall. Don't you think?
Not if Kyrie comes. Even if Kyrie comes back for away games, you put those three together. That's better than any other team.
All right, guys, keep it up. I'll see you at Game 5.
It is strange.
I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna go to Hawaii. I'll see you there. I'd be like, I don't want that guy playing. Like, I don't want him playing. That's a whole different factor.
No, you wouldn't. Really? What? If you had like a top 15 player in the NBA, you'd be like, no, you don't. I don't want you playing any game.
I'd have to be. I'd have to be somebody I really like, or if I are desperate to.
You never had any ringers on the city league who are like, oh, okay, this guy will help us for a game. You can come play.
Yeah, then
absolutely, you did.
No, my point is, and then I would not want him after that. So I'm thinking as I got older, I wouldn't want it. Like that's what I'm hoping I would make that decision. But at times, I was like, yeah, that was not a good call there. That was not a good fit. Anyways, all right. So the other big news for me was Joe Johnson and a few other of these NBA players just getting called up because of COVID. Just every team having it seems like a lot of teams have like 9 cases. Some of them like 5 or 4. So you get like Daren calls and called up again. I don't know if you got it. There's a few others I know being called up here. I saw Brian Johnson.
Isaiah Thomas,
of course. Yes. How could I forget that? So let me get is there 3 guys, like a big 3? I feel like that's been a big reason some of these guys are getting called up too, because not because of the big 3, but just their names can stay a little bit more relevant. They're still playing ball, kind of keep some of them fresh a little bit in the United States. Is there that's kind of I feel like what happened with Joe Johnson a little bit. What do you think about what would be your 3 guys that you'd want to see jump into the NBA that are kind of in that age bracket of Joe Johnson?
My first would be Rashard Lewis.
Okay. He played though in it before.
Yeah, some corner threes.
Yeah.
And then you remember Larry Sanders?
Yes, the guy from Milwaukee.
Yes, he got the mental issue. The Warriors almost brought him in one year.
Yeah.
In their prime run would be my other. And then the third would be, let's get a little redemption for Nate Robinson. His last memory cannot be getting knocked out to Jake Paul.
Get them back in there. Man, I feel like he's ran out of chances, Nate. I don't see him getting back in there. I don't see him.
I don't see any of these guys getting back in.
I want to see Monte Ellis jump in there. I saw Jay Rich in a video. I want to see Jay Rich get back in there. Vince Carter, come on, you can still get back in there. T-Mac. And just for entertainment value, he talks a lot on TV. I'd like to see Kendrick Perkins get back out there.
Oh, God.
That's it. He's always just riffing on people at times. Let's see you back out there, buddy.
Well, his best attribute would be leaning on a big guy. Just lean on him. Wear him down.
That's all that would matter out there.
Tracy McGrady was spent his last year on the Spurs and couldn't even get on the court.
But I'd like to see him back on the team. Come on, let's see him back on that. See him get a performance in it.
I do like the Monte call.
Yeah, Monte be fun. I would like to see him.
I don't know if he'd be fun, but
Jay Rich, I saw him. Come on, he could play. I saw him in pickup. He could do it. I'm going to get Larry Hughes back.
This is the NBA we're talking about.
That'd be Khalid El-Amin, go way back. All right.
Brian Scalabrine.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the no. We don't want to go there. All right. So some of the other stories from the NBA, you got Paul George out for the Clippers. Kemba Walker back. He's doing a little something here for the Nets. It's kind of really the main, or for the Knicks, kind of Tom or whatever the guy's name is, Thibodeau. Coaching weirdly for the Knicks again. Standings wise, you got the Nets, Bulls, Bucks, top three there. He kind of find their way. Cavs still in the mix there. Wizards. So the East not really that great in the sense of the excitement of it, other than those top, I guess, three teams this year. I think that's how it feels in both conferences. I guess the Heat you might want to add in come playoff time. And the Sixers, I guess, if they could figure it out or get something with Simmons done with a trade.
They said there might be a Cleveland trade with Simmons.
See, and that's where like this changes. Right now, it feels like it's a 3-team race. So maybe if at the trade deadline, somebody adds somebody, you feel like, it changes, right? The team's starting to play a little better after a trade deadline at times. Sometimes that can happen. Like the Heat made the championship that one year. And the West, the Grizzlies, I'm going to say this about them. They definitely are way better. Like I said, I don't really want to play them.
I don't want to play them.
I think the Warriors can take him at full strength, though. Like I think if Clay's back, like it does feel like they are slightly better still. That doesn't mean every game would be very close and Memphis wouldn't push them to the limit, but I still think the Warriors could get it done against them. A Jazz Sun series, that would be interesting. A 2-3, that would be an interesting matchup.
And knocker.
So I ask you, is the order what it is now? Do you see the Suns, Jazz, Grizzlies as the three best teams in that order outside the Warriors at one?
Suns, Jazz, Grizzlies. Yeah. I mean, if Murray comes back and is healthy, maybe I could see Denver moving up. Can we get rid of the play-in game? Look at these games. They're going to be terrible.
Spurs, Lakers.
These games are terrible. Boston, Toronto, they don't just get. We got lucky last year that the Warriors were undermanned. The Lakers had a bad year.
You'll probably want it though when the time comes.
I'm gonna watch it, but I don't think
it's not. We don't need it. We don't need a lot of this stuff. We don't need 8 teams in the playoffs. Like look at the standings. We really need 6.
If that.
You need 6. The one year we needed to play in games with the Warriors went 48. I got the 9th seed. That's the one year we needed to play in that year. It's because that's the reason. I actually wish, Tyler, they would just reseed the whole thing and do a top, or not even reseed it. I wish they would just do a top 16 and play every team.
Top what?
Like the top 16, no matter your conference, just what your record is, and play everybody 3 times or something like that, or play everybody twice.
Well, what the hell is the point of the regular season?
That's my point. You play the regular season, and then like your 1 seed would play the 16 seed in the playoffs, and the 2 seed would play that. So that's how I would do it, like that.
I don't like that, and I'd get rid of.
What do you mean you don't like that?
I don't want to watch Detroit play any games in the playoffs.
So you would 1 through 10 then, or whatever you want your number to be. You just
1 through 6.
Okay, so top 12 then, your top 12 teams.
Yeah,
Let's do that then. All right. And so you'd get rid of the conference. And so you'd have like the Warriors potentially playing the Bulls in the first round. I don't know.
Oh, you're saying both?
Yeah.
There's no more conferences.
Yeah.
Well, there is for the regular season.
Yeah, I'm saying mix
your
them.
conference.
Yeah, just one big.
I wouldn't mind that.
So like that's the way I would do. So like right now you'd have like let's see if it was like Warriors would play like.
I thought you were saying the top 16 teams in each conference make the playoffs.
No. It's like the Warriors right now would play like the Celtics in the first or the Nuggets. So it'd be like, it would just be interesting if you did it like that. All right. So that's why I got NBA mostly this week. The West also, we'll see what happens there. It really starts to get better now after Christmas, right? That's when people say the NBA season starts. So football season picking up, playoff time, Tyler. We'll be talking about that a lot more, obviously, come the podcast. Next week, I know it's a New Year's version of it. So we'll have some questions kind of looking forward to the new year, what we're kind of looking at. And we'll have those championship games. We'll have the championship games set for college football. So we'll have that to go into as well. We should have quite a bit of stuff to talk about next week.
It's a good time in sports, that's for sure.
You're playing golf at all this week? You said Friday you're going out, right? It is straight.
Yeah, New Year's Eve.
Hopefully it's not as foggy.
Going out to Napa.
Oh, all right. But Bodega Bay was out there, right, when it was foggy, or Runner Park?
I went out to Runner Park. It was way too foggy.
Playing it, my hands would be freezing out to my left. I would have to I got to get some warm gloves if I'm out there.
Playing and you hit the ball and you don't really know where you're aiming is just not fun.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's hard to get any momentum because you hit a shot and you're like, I hope that's where I wanted to hit it.
Tyler, based on analytics, most people don't listen to this part of the podcast. So with that said, anyways, I want to thank some of the people that have been listening throughout our time this year. I know we got Brian, we got Adam, just friends like that have listened. Obviously our families that do it. Then we got like we talked about the people in Memphis, but also like the guys from House of Hoops, even a few other people that I know that listen to the podcast occasionally that check in on it. Like I said, our goal is to just kind of keep growing it next year. And just a little at a time, maybe Tyler will get more Twitter beats and he'll be a big superstar by the time this thing's out, and he'll be
not happening. I'm through with my beats.
But Tyler,
vegetarian diet.
I appreciate you doing the podcast with me. I know Casey's not here, but you stuck with it through thick and thin with it. And we made it to episode 67 here. We'll see what the future holds for us going into the new year. But appreciate you, buddy. And look forward to
think of a sports player for 67.
Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head right now. We should do that. I should just post the episode with the picture of the guy's number every. I got Barry Zito coming 75. I got Barry Zito. So we got.
Sure, we can find a good 69 when that comes.
I'm sure there's plenty of 69s out there. That would be
you should find that. You should find a very graphic picture and then just blur it all out. 69.
Episode 69. And then like reveal it, it's nothing. It's just like somebody smiling or something like that. Yeah. You guys were sick. It's just a little girl smiling. How you guys?
Oh, not a little. No, it's anything about little.
All right, I didn't say that'd be like a freaky picture. All right, on that note, we should probably end it then before we get too much trouble. Also, we didn't get into a conversation about Applebee's, and maybe the next week I'll bring this up when Casey's on. Adam, this conversation is coming when Casey jumps back on. There was a big discussion about who was the best player in their prime.
No, I'm not having that conversation.
We are getting into this conversation. This was hilarious. Because I kind of compare it to the man wearing a jersey when you go to the park type of conversation. So I look forward to it if we can get into that. So, all right, guys, we'll see you next week. All right. Guys, have a good New Year's. We'll see you then. Peace.